Welcome back to the bar for another Dabbler Double Take. I'm Brian.
And I'm Zach, and I got a take for you today. I think cider is boring, and frankly, it kind of sucks. Wow. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm sorry. Every single cider that I've had, it's super cloying, it's super sweet, tastes like adult apple juice. It just doesn't interest me.
All right, well, I understand where you're coming from, but I am going to get you loving cider by the end of this video because we are going to Europe. I'm going to try 3 different European ciders with Zach. I guarantee he's going to like it. So let's get to it. Now this is my favorite season. I love fall. Apples are on the tree, they're being picked, they're being pressed into fresh juice. I don't like it as fresh juice, I actually like it as hard cider. So Zach, you gotta tell me though, what do you know about hard cider so far?
Right, so I think I've had the cider that mostly everybody else in America has had at one point. Strongbow would be that kind of like classic model of like a sweet, you know, it just doesn't taste like much to me other than, you know, apple juice. It's just boring, but that's what I've had. The rest of these are all, it's Greek to me, man, I don't know, so.
Absolutely, and, you know, I started right here with you, man. Like, when I went to the Irish pub, this is what you were getting.
Yeah. You know, I like it with a little whiskey in it as a Johnny jump up. I like it with a snake bite, you know, with a little stout poured in there, or is it black ale? Either way. But I gotta say, the cider itself, man, it's the least interesting part to me.
I mean, tell me what you're sipping and you're experiencing with this.
Martinelli's apple juice. But like, you know, with maybe a little bit of booze mixed in. Yeah. It's kind of flat, there's not a lot of zing to it.
It is. I grant you, this is super boring. People like to drink it with ice in the glass. Oof. What are they doing? Oof. So if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about Strongbow, I don't know what will. And I get it. You don't like it. I don't like it either. I mean, let's just get this thing out of the way.
All right, cool.
So if you think Strongbow is a good representation of English cider, I mean, you're sorely mistaken. And I'm gonna show you.
Okay.
We're going to Cornwall. In the west of England.
West of England, thank you, I was gonna ask.
Now this is Cornish Orchard's Heritage Dry Cider, and I'm not gonna tell you anything about it. I just want you to sip it first because I think you're gonna have a pretty interesting reaction to this.
Woo, okay, that's different. Very different, wow.
It's a kick in the mouth.
Absolutely, it's a night and day difference compared to the Strongbow. There's actually a lot of flavor to this. Tell me a little bit about what you're tasting in this kind of English cider.
So this one is definitely tannic, leathery, super dry. And when we're talking about tannic, it's that sort of like dry mouth feeling, a little bit astringent. Your tongue feels kind of like it's kind of closing up.
Yeah.
And it's super intense. It's complex. It has a different kind of apple flavor where that one is like fresh apple juice with all the sugar in it.
Yeah.
This one is more like apple skins, apple seeds, all of that.
There's that kind of like vegetal kind of like if anybody's ever tried biting into like a crab apple when they were a kid, this kind of reminds me a little bit of that. Whereas that one was full juicy juice, sweet, you know, just bland apple juice flavor. This actually tastes like a real apple, and like you said, eating a whole bite of it with the skin on and everything. It's really nice. It's a heck of a lot better.
There's a reason why heirloom apple varieties are called spitters. They don't taste good. But when you make them into cider, they make a really dang good cider. So this is an English cider that most people probably have never had, or a style of English cider most people have never had. Now that will just show you that even in England, not everything tastes like that Strongbow, mass-produced, super sweet.
Well, I love it.
Sort of bland apple.
So I guess the British redeemed themselves in my eyes, but what else is out there? Tell me about the rest of the world here.
Now, I know you're a big sour fan.
Yeah, I do. I love sours.
Beer. Yep. Who doesn't love a good sour beer?
Yeah.
And they're everywhere, right? This is a cider from the Basque region of Spain. And if you're a sour fan, this cider is gonna be right in your wheelhouse, right up your alley. They are known for naturally fermented cider. So this is wild microbes from the orchard.
Cool.
Wild yeast strains right from the apple skins.
It's like a farmhouse thing.
Absolutely.
Cool, okay.
And it gives it a more like lactic acid base. So it's very puckering. Now, I'm doing my best Spanish cider pour. They pour it from like, in
30 feet
Spain,
up.
but I can't do that, so I'm just gonna. Whoop. All right, give that a sniff. Let me know what you think.
First of all, I mean, just look at the color on this compared to even the couple of Englishes that we were. It's like a pale straw yellow. It's unfiltered. It's cloudy. It's a hazy cider.
It's a hazy cider. It's a hazy sour cider.
Oh wow, wow, very cool. So it's like sulfury almost. There's a little bit of that salt water, sulfur, like minerally quality to it.
It's almost apple cider vinegar, but in a really pleasant way.
Yeah.
It has that same acid undertone, and it just like lifts it up.
There's not a whole ton of carbonation to this one.
No, yeah, Spanish cider, it's much more still, and you only drink it a little bit at a time to kind of capture that sort of whole flavor experience.
Gotcha. So you wouldn't sip this in like a big, full pint like you would with an English cider, maybe?
If you want to do it like the Spanish do,
Yeah.
drink it a little bit at a time. Just keep refilling your glass.
Little glasses like this. I feel very European right now. Pinky out. So Brian, how do you pronounce the name of this brand?
Isastegi.
Wow.
Isastegi from the Basque region.
I gotta say, I love the label art on this. It's just got this really cool, classy, like Iberian, type of look to it. I really dig it.
For sure.
This is really neat, man. I gotta say, it reminds me of, like a tart Brett sour or a saison or something like that. It's got a real barnyardy kind of tangy, funky note to it. It's neat. Very complex. Okay.
So we have gone from bland apple to tannic and dry to something that's a little bit more tart, sour, lip puckering for the sour fans. Now we're gonna go with something that's like more rounded out. We're going to France, we're going to Brittany. Now this is Le Brun. Yep, from Bretagne. And if you don't like that cork pop, just get out.
It was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Not as good as a can snapping on a beer, but pretty cool nonetheless.
Now this is their Brut style cider, which is dry. So we're expecting something that's dry as a bone, good apple flavor. This one is like minerally and almost like a little like ocean air, almost like salty, briny
sea
ocean
spray.
air.
Yeah, like a sea
spray.
foam, sea spray. It reminds me a little bit of Prosecco too. There's that kind of like that kind of dry, kind of maybe not. I'm not the best wine guy, so maybe Prosecco is not the right comparison. But there's a champagne-like quality to this particular cider too, in my opinion.
Now this one isn't as intense as that Cornish orchards in terms of the tannin. The tannin gives it a backbone, and there's still some residual sweetness in this one, and it all is kind of balanced. Everything feels balanced.
I would, compared to the Strongbow and how sweet that one is, and then especially how tart and dry these last couple of were, this one definitely has just a very mild amount of sweetness, but it's not overwhelming. It's really nice. Like I said, reminds you a bit of what a good sparkling wine would do as far as a character on your tongue goes. There's a little bit of effervescent bubble. It's sippable. I could see it being good in a mimosa too, although I don't know if you'd want to water something this good down with orange juice, but maybe just a little misting on top.
This would be a great food pairing cider. I mean, it has enough structure to it that you can just about pair it with anything. Obviously, being from the coast of Brittany, try it with seafood, especially shellfish, mussels. Let's go. Garlicky mussels and this cider would just go smashingly together.
So I gotta say, man, it's hard to argue with this. There's a lot of really neat flavors going on here. I guess my idea that cider only could taste one way has been definitely opened up a little bit. So if I was gonna try to compare these ciders to some craft beer styles for folks like me that don't know anything about cider, I would say this Cornish Orchards kind of reminds me a little bit of like a West Coast IPA, like a real piney palate wrecker type of thing, like a double, something super strong in flavor. The
Isastegi.
Thank you. This one reminds me a little bit of a kettle sour. It's got that bright, sour type of vibe to it. And then this one maybe a saison or even a sparkling wine, perhaps. Something outside of the craft beer world, but that's what it reminded me of the most. But Brian, to be honest, as much as I loved getting to travel the cider world with you, if I have to import a bottle of cider every time I want to get something really good, it's going to be kind of tough for me. I want to be able to just pull something off my liquor store shelves at my local store, and if I have to like request this and get it mailed all the way from France, it's going to be a big pain in the ass. So is there any like good American ciders out there? Like, are people making it here?
It's hard to find these sorts of bottles unless you have a really great specialty shop that deals in cider. But you're in luck, because most American cider makers nowadays are making really great, super flavorful cider that runs the gamut of flavor.
Awesome.
And we're gonna try 3 next week from America that will hopefully open your eyes to American cider.
Well, colored me intrigued. Can't wait to see you all next week on another episode of Dabbler Double Take, where we try to make a cider convert out of this cider hater. Cheers.
See you next time. Do you want to polish this up?
I'm good, man.
Okay.
Thanks.
What should we do with it?
Drain pour?
Drain pour.